Ready for a glimpse into the future? Today, we're going to dive deep into the business of space. We're
Yeah.
going to uncover the major players, what they're doing, and why it even matters to you.
What's really exciting is how space is transforming, from a government-led endeavor to like a thriving commercial sector.
Okay.
We're seeing a new breed of businesses eager to turn like science fiction into a profitable reality.
And to really get a feel for this, we're analyzing the 75th International Astronautical Congress,
Huge.
or IAC, as I guess the cool kids call it,
That's right.
happening soon in Milan.
Yeah. In Milan.
It's like the Super Bowl of space conventions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, even astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti is promoting it from the International Space Station. And when you want to know who's who in any industry, you check out the sponsors and exhibitors, right?
Right.
That's exactly what we're doing with the IAC.
Okay, let's start with the familiar faces.
Okay.
We've got the big government agencies like the Italian Space Agency, the European Space Agency, and the Indian Space Research Organization. These guys are still the foundation of space exploration.
Exactly. They bring the experience, the resources, and the international collaboration that are essential for those big, ambitious missions.
Mm-hmm.
But while they laid the groundwork, we're now seeing a new wave of private companies looking to capitalize on the commercial potential of space.
And that's where things get really interesting. We're
Yeah.
talking major players like Leonardo, a giant in aerospace and defense. They've been in the game for a while, but even they are having to adapt to this new landscape.
Right. And then you have companies like VST Space, developing cutting-edge technologies, essentially creating the tools that will enable businesses to operate in space. Think of them as the space-age equivalent of software developers. But instead of apps, they're building the framework for an entire space economy.
So instead of just launching satellites for communication, we're talking about companies actually conducting business in space.
Precisely. Take Axiom Space, for instance. They're at the forefront of developing what they call commercial space infrastructure. Imagine businesses being able to lease space on a station or lunar base. That's the kind of future Axiom is building. It's a whole new market opening up.
Wow, that's a complete game changer. What kind of impact do you think this will have on the space tourism industry? I mean, if businesses can operate in space, imagine the possibilities for space hotels and even lunar manufacturing.
You're spot on. This isn't just about sending a few wealthy tourists into orbit. This is about creating a sustainable and profitable ecosystem in space, which leads to a fascinating company we uncovered, DEWESoft. They might not be launching rockets, but they're crucial to making those launches, and any space venture for that matter, possible.
Okay, so they're like the behind-the-scenes heroes of space exploration. Tell me more.
They provide highly sophisticated data acquisition systems that are used in all sorts of aerospace testing. Think of it as the nervous system of a rocket launch. Their technology collects data on everything from vibration analysis on rocket components to telemetry data from spacecraft.
So they're ensuring that those missions are not just successful, but also safe. That's got to be critical when you're dealing with the unforgiving environment of space.
Exactly. Give you a better picture, let's talk about modal analysis. It sounds incredibly complex, but it's essentially about understanding how structures vibrate and how they interact with different forces.
Yeah.
For a rocket launch, DEWESoft systems would be capturing all of this data in real time, ensuring that every component is stable and performing as it should. This kind of analysis is crucial because it allows engineers to catch potential problems before they become catastrophic and costly failures.
It's like having a superpowered stethoscope for rockets, making sure everything is healthy and functioning as it should. That's incredible.
It really is. And what's fascinating is how companies like DEWESoft are positioning themselves to capitalize on emerging markets within the space sector. One great example of this is their work with eVTOL aircraft.
Ah, yes. eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Essentially, we're talking about flying taxis, right? It feels like everyone's trying to get a piece of that pie.
Exactly. It's a rapidly growing market. And while it might seem a world away from launching rockets, DEWESoft's involvement highlights the convergence of aerospace technology with more down-to-earth industries. It's a trend we're seeing more and more of.
That blurring of lines between space and everyday life is really fascinating. It makes the future of space feel much more tangible and relevant to our lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of blurring lines, the IAC event has a company called Space Map Inc., and they're doing some fascinating work with mapping technology for aerospace applications.
Okay, so we're talking space maps. Are they literally charting the galaxy? What does that even look like?
Well, they're not quite mapping the entire galaxy just yet, but it's still incredibly complex. Think about the precision needed for satellite navigation or planning a lunar mission. SpaceMap Inc. is creating those detailed maps and models of celestial bodies.
Wow, I never even considered the mapping aspect of space exploration, but it makes perfect sense. Before you can even think about building a moon base, you need a really good map of the neighborhood.
Precisely. And then you have companies with names that sound straight out of a science fiction novel, like Sidereal Space Dynamics.
Okay, that one definitely sounds like they're building warp drives or something. What's their deal?
They're keeping their cards close to their chests for now, but we've gathered that they're involved in some pretty cutting-edge propulsion systems. It's all very hush-hush.
I love that there's still an element of mystery in all of this. And speaking of things that could make or break a space venture, we can't forget about cosmic shielding. Space radiation is a serious concern for both humans and equipment, right?
Absolutely. And as we move towards commercial space endeavors, ensuring safety and reliability is paramount. Imagine the insurance premiums on a space hotel. This must be a huge key area of concern for investors.
That's a really good point. So how is cosmic shielding addressing this?
They're developing advanced materials and technologies to mitigate the risks of radiation exposure in space. This kind of innovation is going to be critical as we send more people and equipment into orbit and beyond.
It's fascinating to see how every aspect of space exploration, even something like radiation shielding, is becoming part of this growing commercial ecosystem. It really highlights how space is becoming less like a separate frontier and more like an extension of things we're already doing here on Earth.
Exactly, and that's why the IAC is so important. It brings all these different players together, the dreamers, the engineers, the entrepreneurs, to collaborate, share knowledge, and ultimately shape the future of space exploration.
Yeah, it's like we're at the dawn of a new space age, but this time it's not just about national pride or scientific discovery. It's about everyone on Earth benefiting from this incredible endeavor.
Precisely. And it's a global effort. Remember, we've only scratched the surface of the companies attending the IAC. We've got representation from nations you might not even think of as being spacefaring yet, like the Australian Space Agency and the UAE Space Pavilion.
Wow.
It's a truly international affair.
Which makes sense, right? Space is the ultimate shared resource, so it's only natural that more and more players want a seat at the table. Or should I say a launch pad?
A launch pad indeed. And that brings us back to you listening to this. The sheer variety of companies at IAC 2024 shows that the future of space is about more than just exploration. It's about business innovation and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So what does this all mean for someone who might be thinking, okay, this is all very cool, but I'm not a rocket scientist or a billionaire entrepreneur. What's my connection to space?
That's a great question, and one we should all be asking ourselves. Because even if you never set foot on a spaceship, the future of space is going to impact your life in ways you might not even imagine. The technology is being developed, the discoveries being made. They'll trickle down into fields like medicine, energy, even everyday consumer goods.
It's like how the space race gave us things like GPS and scratch-resistant lenses.
Yeah.
Innovations that seemed impossible at the time are now part of our daily lives.
Precisely.
It's incredible.
So while you're going about your day, consider this. What role do you think you could play in the future of space? Maybe you'll be inspired to start a company, pursue a new career path, or simply engage more with the wonders of space exploration. The possibilities are truly limitless.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be doing a deep dive on your company and your contributions to the future of space. Until then, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring.